Elizabeth, your go-to for wedding content and advice, and today I'm going to be sharing with you wedding regrets from my own wedding. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen pictures from my wedding. I wore a very colorful, iconic wedding dress. At least I think it's iconic, very, very colorful and fun. But I enjoyed so much of my wedding. There's very few regrets I have, but I wanted to share them with you so hopefully you can avoid some of these for your own wedding if you're getting married soon. And let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first regret I have for my wedding is that I did not ever see myself in a full head-to-toe length mirror. So the reason I noticed this is because I got ready in a hotel and then I drove over to my venue and I put my dress on in a little changing room that I don't think really had much of a mirror. It was very tiny. And then I ended my wedding day by going up to my hotel room. My husband was downstairs talking to some people, so I was by myself and I walked down the hallway. There were some windows at the edge of the hallway and it was dark, so I could kind of see my reflection in it, and it dawned on me that I never saw myself in an actual mirror. So I could kind of see my reflection, but it wasn't that good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish that I had seen myself in a full head-to-toe length mirror. So please, on your wedding day, make sure that you look at yourself in a real full length mirror and you will not regret it. So my second regret, you guys are probably gonna find really silly, and it is very much a nitpicky perfectionist thing, but it was the only thing about my decor that actually bothered me. And so at my wedding, I really wanted as my biggest request, and I had seen kind of an idea like this on Pinterest, but I really shaped it into something very different for my wedding day. So we wanted a circular bar in the middle with a truss going up and then market lights coming like a maypole style out of them, and I wanted that covered in Southern Smilax. But the Smilax kind of ran out and stopped halfway above some of the tables, and I kind of wish that we had spent a little bit more money on our flowers so that the Smilax could have at least gone above the full length of those tables. So I know that seems like a very silly thing, but it bothered me a little bit. It was the only thing that I was just a little bit disappointed by on my wedding day, aesthetic wise. And so that is my one regret, that I didn't put a little bit more money in my floral budget to make sure that the Smilax was going to be abundant enough at my wedding. Again, I'm sure some of you are probably rolling your eyes at that, but that really did bother me a little bit on my actual wedding day. But then I was like, you know what, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just not going to worry about it. But visually, I am a little bit bothered by it. My next regret has to do with videography. And this is a really hot topic among people, is to hire a videographer or not to hire a videographer, for a lot of people who are on the fence. And I will say that I do not regret not hiring a videographer for a number of reasons, because my husband and I did not want a videographer. Now, I work with a lot of videographers who I think are amazing, and those videographers are great, but we did not want one for our wedding for a number of reasons. And I'll get into that because I think this is a really big topic. So personally, for me as a photographer, I really like the weddings that I have where there are no videographers, because I can very easily do my job. There's nobody that I have to work around. It's just so easy to do my job when there's no videographers there. I work with a lot of videographers who are great and we work well together, and then that's great. But I have worked with a lot of videographers who get in my way a lot, and I really don't like those wedding days because it makes it really hard to do my job. They interrupt me, they stand in front of me for the first dance, they're all over the place and I can't get them out of my shot. It can just be a real big nightmare. So I wanted to make sure for my photographer's wedding day that there was it was very easy for her, and there was nobody in her way, nobody slowing her down, nobody she had to wait on for her shots. She could just shoot away with no cares in the world. And I also wanted to make sure that we could invest 100% of our photo, video, whatever budget into photography. I did not want to share it with videography. Also, another reason we did not hire a videographer is because we just simply did not care about or value having a video to look back on that was a professional video. Not that we don't like those videos, it's just that we didn't feel the need to have one for ourselves. When we watch those videos of professional videographers from weddings, it just doesn't pull at our heartstrings. And I think if you don't watch those videos and they don't speak to you, then you shouldn't invest in them. Those videos are for people who really, really love those videos. And there are a lot of people who do love those videos, but when my husband and I see those professional videographer wedding videos, they don't really speak to us. So we didn't feel like it was important to invest thousands of dollars in them. And so for us, hiring a videographer was just not in the cards. And that's okay. It's not for everybody, but for a lot of people it is. So I don't regret not having one at our wedding. But what I do regret is not asking somebody to film all of our speeches and all of our dances with an iPhone video, standing off to the aside out of the photographer's way and getting those full videos for us. I really wish we had that. I have a few small short clips of our dances, but I don't have anything of our toast, and I would give anything to have full, just plain iPhone videos of our toast just so I could hear those words again. That is what I do regret, and that is probably my biggest regret from our wedding. Now, my final two regrets aren't like huge regrets, and they don't really have a lot to do with things that I would have foreseen myself needing to do, but there's something that I kind of wish that I'd communicated more about on the wedding day. Maybe these are things that now you'll think about for yourself, but the fourth regret is that on the wedding day itself, we did not get our venue to get us plates of all of our appetizers that were served during our cocktail hour, and I really wish we'd gotten to try all of them. And we also had a crepe station, and we never got to have that either. So I kind of feel like our venue dropped the ball a little bit, especially considering it was a really nice venue. And I really wish that I had communicated to our venue a little bit more, like, can you please gather us a plate of these? Because at pretty much every wedding that I have ever photographed, the venue has gathered a plate of these kinds of things and put it at the couple's table for them. It is a service that they have provided, and I don't think that the couple ever had to ask for that. I think the venue just did it, but I wish that I had been more proactive and asked the venue to do this for us so that we had had more of a bite to eat on our wedding day, and so that we had also just been able to try the foods that we were really wanting to try. So that was one of my regrets, that I just wasn't more communicative on our wedding day. Now, my last regret is that during our, I would say sunset portraits at the beginning of our reception on our wedding day, when our guests were eating their salad course or whatever, my husband and I went out for our sunset portraits, and all three of our photographers went with us, and I really regret not asking one of those photographers to stay behind and capture pictures of the guests at their table, because we only had about 55 guests, and there were several guests at our wedding day that were not in a single photograph, and guest pictures were a priority for us, and I think that I did communicate that in my pre-wedding questionnaire, but I wish that I had just been more forward about that request on our wedding day itself, making sure that those guests were getting captured. Not to be obnoxious about it, because you don't want to be all up in your photographer's business on the wedding day, but I just wish that I had maybe asked the third photographer to stay behind, because we really did not need 3 photographers to capture the portraits of us. Like 2 would have been sufficient. So it would have been nice to think about that. I just wish that I wasn't so wrapped up in the moment of the wedding day, which is a good thing, but also I just wish that I had said something like, hey, can one of these people stay behind and get those guest photos? Like, now would be a great time to do that. So that's one regret I have, not getting more guest photos and just asking that person to stay behind. So those are my wedding regrets. None of them are super, super big. The video one is probably the biggest, but anyways, tell me if you learned anything from this video, and if you guys have any video ideas for the future, let me know, and be sure to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!